I'm from Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. I'm 32 years old and part of the Dog Rib Ray Band based out of Betchco, Northwest Territories. 1 hour northwest of Yellowknife. This residency is a 6-week residency, and it deals with the theme of community in the 21st century. That's the overall theme of the residency, and I named it Artificial Populace because that relates to a lot of digitalization of society, social media, networking, internet, and all the aspects within that. So even exploring like the depths of that and then the euphoric nature of that. So with the first installation, it'll be the depths of it where this person is so immersed in social media and all of that, and they're isolated. The second installation is called The Balance, and that will deal with community working together in order to reach a common goal. And then the third step will be somewhat of a celebration of community with this interactive nature. And it's also, the third installation is going to be at TRU in the gallery. And for me, I feel so honored to install there because, like going to school for my first year and like seeing the art gallery and seeing the art that was in there. And it was something that I've always wanted to do. And it's kind of like coming full circle in a way, but also just getting started. Part of it has a subtle anecdote of that. I always think about home whenever I work with my installations based on the media that I use, a lot of natural materials. The audio sources are definitely inspired from the north. Part of that is to give these dead branches or these dead natural materials another chance at life within my artwork. I wouldn't feel right chopping something down myself in order to accomplish these artworks. A lot of the fresh material that I used have been chopped down by other people and discarded. So I collect those and harvest them and utilize them within my art. It does that in the regard that, like, I guess with that, my artwork has this kind of darker appeal, and I like the way that it's all stripped down. It's like all of the greenery and the freshness is out of this material. It also makes it a lot more light and easier to deal with, although it's a little malleable sometimes, which can also work for adhering a branch upon itself. And it helps with the tension and the friction of some stuff that's prevalent with my art, like these branches working against themselves and becoming really strong. The art scene in Yellowknife it's pretty good. It could be a lot stronger. There are opportunities to show art, although it seems like within the last 5-6 years, there's been a gallery closing every year. So it could be quite difficult to show your art, and there is only really one or two galleries that people can actually submit proposals and do a show or an installation. The rest of the galleries are commercial galleries. So for an artist like me, there's really only 1 or 2 places that I could show my art up there. We have an artist-run center up there that's becoming more established now. They're looking for another location, of course. But that doesn't seem to discourage people in Yellowknife. Like, we're kind of old-fashioned in the regard that we could kind of make things happen no matter what. It seems like a lot of people up there, even if they don't do art or play music, they seem like artists, so it's a really good community for that. The first segment and installation of this residency is called isolation, and that deals with people who can get so immersed in their own, or get so immersed from what's at their fingertips, like the internet and media, magazines, newspapers, all of this, and it's kind of like this manifestation. And I guess it can be kind of easy to get into that up north because we're so isolated up there already. It's quite a distance to travel to any other town. Our closest big city is Edmonton, and that's like an 18-hour drive. So yeah, this installation has to deal with people becoming really immersed in that and getting so caught up in conspiracy theories and politics and scandals and the materialistic nature of the world, and trying to either cope with that or to either delve a lot further into that or to escape from that. Isolation is somewhat of a personal story. It's something that I find myself involved in quite a lot. I read a lot of digital material now. I don't read much physical material anymore. And so that had to do with it as well. People ask me if I'd read this book yet, if I'd read that book yet. I'm like, I'm sorry, I haven't. It's like, man, you've had that book for a year. It's like, I read a lot online, so yeah, and this information is it's so easy to get your hands on, and like Democracy Now! And CBC and all of these news stories that come up regarding missing and murdered Aboriginal women and the injustices of society and what's going on in the United States, the fucking police. And it's almost like now that's kind of the way that you empower yourself. That's the way you study, that's the way you get smarter in a way, is you just read as much online material as you can. But in some ways it could be very absorbing and enveloping. And like I said, it's kind of a personal story because there's some points where I go into the studio or my office at 2 in the afternoon, and at 4 a.m. I'm leaving, and it's like, wow, I didn't get much work done tonight, but I read a lot, and so that's kind of what it has to do with. And growing up in the digital age, like seeing the birth of the internet for me was kind of a big thing, remembering these 14.4 kilobyte per second modems and having to transfer files via FTP sites and programs. Before a lot of the mass downloading, before of the digital age that kind of hindered the music industry. So it was really interesting, but I also remember the time before internet and how it was. So for the second installation, I'm calling it The Balance. And because the balance is like this, the idea of it is community working together to reach a common goal. But another segment of this installation is to harvest and collect sounds from the public in cam loops so that their audio can be represented. And I'll have people submit video from Yellowknife, my hometown. And that's the balance to me. Like, I'm here and I'm there, and they're both coming together, and they're both working in harmony towards each other or with each other. And I'd really like for people to submit their sound clips, not necessarily music, but found sounds and interesting things that they've made, in order to, I'll piece them all together, and then they'll play as the overarching soundtrack for the room. And we'll have infrared cameras taking in the information of people, like them just even being present in the gallery, and that will affect the overall soundtrack. so that the community can become involved in the artwork, even if they're not here to make it or to see the process of it or the construction. And I really like that idea because it's a lot more engaging with the community, and this is the community in the 21st century, and we're able to collaborate with artworks quite easily this way. And one huge step for this installation in particular is my friend and partner for this specific installation. His name is Davis Heslop, and he has such an interesting mindset with aesthetic and presentation, and also his energy as a person is amazing. I call him the lion because he laughs. When he laughs, he roars, you know. And he's really interested in technology, and one program that we're using a lot for this second installation is called Max MSP. And I barely even know what's going on in this program, but he's been working with it for a couple years now, so he knows a hell of a lot more of it than I do. So we're taking both of our talents and we're putting them together. And I'm actually quite excited about this because this will be the first time that he's shown his work in a gallery. Like, he's done video work and stuff, it's been up on the screen, but this is going to be his first gallery show. So I feel quite happy to have this collaboration and this friendship with him. So the third installation at TRU, I'm calling it, I named it after a Tlicho word meaning returning. And I hope my pronunciation is right. I didn't do research on the pronunciation, but I think it's pronounced eketa. And it's an adjective for returning. So I thought that was really suitable because I'm trying to learn Tlicho right now. I'm trying to learn Dogrib, like my native language. So this helps me to do that, even if it's just one word at a time. It really makes the word have a lot of meaning for me, and I think it's aptly titled because I'm returning to this place as more of an established artist from when I left, and I feel really honored for that. Like, when you hear something around you, when you're a musician, it seems like you can take those sounds and almost, build a song out of it, or hear something else that's missing, even though that's what's there. It's like, I hear this and build it that and flip it around and reverse it and explore that, stretch it out, compress it. And there's so many different ways to interact with audio, and there's so many different ways to interact with art and the materials that you're working with. So I just found that relationship between the two just worked really easy for me, and it's able for me to inflict another response or to trigger different emotions within my artwork, and it really helps to bridge that gap between visual and audio. It kind of brings it all together so that you're able to kind of trigger, my goal for my art is to trigger as many emotions and responses in people as possible. With the installations that I do, there's a lot of things that I've learned throughout life, throughout school, and through other people, and once I get an idea in my head, it's kind of hard to get out, and I'd like for that to come to fruition as much as possible as I see it in my head. So in order to get there, sometimes you have to kind of throw out these rules that, people say, or a lot of, I find that with my art, there can sometimes be a lot of doubt. Like with A Mode of Ascension, when I started drilling out that log, a lot of people told me I'd never do it, or I'd never do it in time, or it was never possible when I'd tell them, what was going to happen. I had a lot of laughs and shit like that. But that serves as a motivation for me, it seems. And I could really find a lot more initiative when people doubt me for that sort of thing. I mean, it'd be great if they told me I could do it and, you know, keep on going, but yeah, I've always found that ability to be able to bring the good out of something bad, I suppose. But everyone's different.
Yeah.
And I'm different sometimes.